Hey everyone, my name is Claire. I'm also known as the Naked Warrior, and I'm incredibly excited to bring to you in this video today Amanda Egan. She has an incredible story where she went from literally running not very far to running a marathon in a ridiculous time frame of about 8 weeks. She's now run a phenomenal amount of marathons since, and she's going to tell you all of her tricks and her tips and share with you her mindset around running and how she now uses her journey and her story to help inspire other women to get running and also in other areas of their life as well. So yeah, over to you, Amanda. Welcome.
Hi Claire, thank you so much for inviting me on this evening. I'm absolutely thrilled to be asked to be a guest here today. So yes, I have been someone that's always wanted to run a marathon, so I will put that out there. But
me not so much.
Yeah, the years just roll by, and every year I sort of thought I'm going to run the London Marathon, and this is going to be my year, and I just never ever got round to it. So fast forward, and I was 41, and I met someone who on our second day, he mentioned he was a marathon runner. I had no idea, and he said, well, let's go for a run on our next date. And I was like, oh no, it's horrendous. How am I going to run and breathe and look good still?
Yeah, really hot and sweaty.
Yeah, just most worried about passing wind or weeing myself. So I met him, he lived and worked in Cambridge, and we did a 4-mile run, and I was astonished because I'd never run more than 2 miles without stopping. At the end of the run, he said to me, you've got a good level of fitness, Amanda. I'm actually pacing a marathon that's coming up, and it's the first time that this marathon's been put on in Milton Keynes in 9 weeks' time. Why don't you join me and do the marathon with me? And so I just said yes. I didn't think about it. And there'll be some tips as I go through my story that I hope other people can take on board and get some inspiration from. So first thing was I just said yes. And the reason I said yes was because I was trying to impress him, but mainly because I knew he was an expert. He told me to run 20 marathons at that point, and he was a pacer run as well. So I thought, well, I'm in safe hands. If I can't do it now, I'll never do it. And I did have a good level of fitness. I've done some cycling events, and not at school, but since school, I've always been someone who's been passionate about fitness. So anyway, the next day we sat down in the coffee shop, and I can remember him writing in my diary some figures, which was the mileage that I needed to be doing within a week. I needed to be running 10 miles, then 11 miles, and then, 12 miles and 14. We went up in 2-mile increments. And I wrote these figures down. I honestly didn't think that I would be expected to do that. But of course I was expected to do that. So within 2 weeks we were running 10 miles, and I got the bug for it. I understood straight away. It wasn't really about your legs being able to run that distance. It was about your mind telling you that it's okay to do it. It's okay to feel in pain. But as long as you've got a plan and you're following the plan, you could do it. So the weeks rolled by, my body completely changed. I was very fortunate with injury and health, in that I was in good health, no injuries. And the day came, and I got into the Milton Keynes Stadium in the morning. I lost my head. So the run was really difficult, and the only thing I can compare it to is childbirth. If you didn't get a lovely baby, you got a medal at the end. So I thought, I can't understand how people do this. But when I came through the stadium at the end with Mike and we got our medals, I did get the point of it. Then Mike mentioned that he runs lots of events for Action for Children, a charity that he's supported for over 10 years, and that he could possibly get me a place in the next London Marathon. And then my eyes lit up. I was like, that's why I'm doing all this. So during all of this time, Mike and I got closer and closer, and obviously developed a really fantastic relationship. And Mike is now my husband, which is amazing.
There you go, well done.
Hopefully the impressing has never stopped, because I've never stopped running. I didn't just run the one. But yeah, I've gone on to run 8 more marathons. I'm due to run London Marathon in 20 days' time. I've run 4 London marathons, and we've had loads of opportunities that have come out of this through the charity work that we've done. And people say to me, you're not running another one, are you? Why are you running another one? You've done London once. It's because it's a win-win. You raise lots of money for charity and awareness of amazing cause. You get amazingly fit, and the day itself is the most humbling experience of my life so far. So I don't think we'll get another place. I mean, our medals all over our house. Mike's run it 10 times. I don't think we'll get another opportunity. So we're making the most of this one.
Incredible.
But over the years, obviously I've got a health nutrition business and I help people to get healthy as well. I've hopefully been inspiring people. It might not be to run a marathon. It might be to run a mile without stopping. It might be that you've had some life-changing events and you never thought you'd be able to run a mile, and I can inspire you how to do that. Or, yeah, I want to run a marathon and I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. What I say to people is, I've had the most successful period in my business whilst training from those 0 to 26.2 miles. And there's no coincidences in life. It's really because I had a mindset of, I said I was going to do it and I did it, regardless of all the things that were against me. I'd never run it before. I'm 48 now, so I'm no young person when it comes to running. But I like to impress upon people, not impress people, that whatever it is you have in your life that's a goal that you think every year, this is my year, this is my year. You can do it, and you need the experts around you. You need to surround yourself with the right people who give you the tools and equipment you need. And you need to just do whatever it takes, because quite honestly, there's been many times where I've been ill on the side of a road, had to use a field to go to the loo-in. There's no wonder why we've ended up being husband and wife, because we've literally shared everything. You've got to be prepared to go through the good, the bad, the ugly to get where you want to be in your life. So although I came across marathon running as a sport late in my life, it's taught me more than anything else I've done in my life.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree with that. And I love what you say about how you see how it has that ripple effect into other areas of your life. I know when I was competing as well, it gives you that razor sharp focus that you put into your goal and getting ready for this set event. And then because you're razor sharp over here, everything else gets switched on. And the time that probably with you when you're doing your running training, I know when I was doing all of my training to get up on stage as well, like you just free up headspace as well, and it allows you to get more ideas, you get more focus, more productive. So yeah, definitely, I love that. When you started initially training for the first marathon in Milton Keynes, and you said that you were running, was it running every day or to get your 2 mile increments? Or
so we've always run 3 times a week.
Okay.
The 2 short runs, which were either 4 or 6 miles, and then the long run of the week. If you're doing a normal marathon training in the 24 weeks, you'd raise it by 1 mile a week. But because we had such a short period of time, we raised it. So we started at 10 and raised it by 2 a week, which I wouldn't recommend. But if you do want to train and run a marathon in 8 to 9 weeks, and you've got quite a good level of fitness, you can do it that way.
Would you say it's possible, just on an offhand comment, to get yourself running in less than that time, if you're not really running a lot, but say that there's a marathon or event, say 5 weeks time away? Is that doable, or that's possible, but it's going to be painful and you're putting risk of injury in there? Or
yeah, I mean, it's always painful. So people say to me, does it get easier? And I will say to you, no, it's always incredibly difficult. And a training run for us right now is from our front door in Chigwell through the other side of Hyde Park.
Right.
So it's a long distance just as a training run, and it's always difficult. I don't know anyone who's ever said to me, you know what, running a marathon is a breeze. Personally, I don't think it's possible to go from 0 to 26.2 miles in 5 weeks, and I do think you could put yourself at risk of injury, if I'm being honest. I haven't spoken to anyone else who's done it in less than 9 weeks of training, but there's always a first. So yeah.
There's a different degree levels of crazy, isn't there? So when you're going through your training, and you say you've got like a 24-week lead up, looking to do a mile each week, how are you preparing yourself for the short runs in terms of like from a nutrition perspective, and then also making sure you're recovering and then fueled correctly enough for that longer run later on in the week?
Yeah, it's the basics. I always start with the basics. Obviously, I have a health nutrition business which is supplement based, aloe vera based, but I always start with the basics. When someone says to me, I'd love to learn how to run and train a marathon, it's things like sleep. 8 hours of sleep. And so we have to say no to a lot of things, and you make a lot of sacrifices, and you'll know this from your days of competing, but you don't go to the parties, you don't go up to the pub with your mates when you're training for an event. You have to say no. it's water, hydration. You have to have 3 litres a day, whatever the day has to happen. Those things are basic requirements, because there's no point in looking at buying supplements and all the rest of it if you can't do the basics. It's also things like wearing proper trainers and having a professional analysis of your feet, and buying decent trainers. They don't have to be the latest colour. I buy all of mine from Freeport, last year's A6, because they're only 1 year out of date. But they only do 300 miles. I track how many miles I do in my trainers. When they've done 300, I change them. I try and eat clean. We do have treats, and why wouldn't you? Because you know, it's lovely to have a treat. But we eat, you know, good protein, carbohydrate, big plates of vegetables. Half the plate's always vegetables.
Yeah.
We eat a lot of fruit as a household. But we do have bad food from time to time. I'm not religious about it. But in the main, when you're training for an event, you do have to make a lot of sacrifices. So we don't have dinner parties, we don't drink alcohol. During that time, I might have the odd glass. And for some people, that's just not achievable. But for me and for people like you that have got that laser-like focus, you just have to make those compromises.
Yeah, which, you know, when you've got that goal and you know it's for a short amount of time, it's about reassessing your priorities. So understanding the limitations that and the restrictions potentially going to be placed on your life, and then just understanding how you're going to manage those as well. And then, you know, I've always worked with people and then use that as a way to assess their level of readiness to, do they actually want to go out and get that goal? And if you're not prepared to make the sacrifices, then maybe we need to readdress some other things as well. So yeah, I love that. In terms of challenges that you've had to overcome on your many marathons, is there any that stand out to you, any instances, and how have you overcome those?
Yeah, personal challenges. On the first marathon I ran, at that time I was a single mum, so although Mike and I were dating, he lived a 60-mile round journey from me, and we did all of our training runs in Cambridge, and it was really heavy on the heart finding childcare for my son, knowing that I was pursuing a goal. And I've had periods like this in my business where I'm trying to qualify for a global trip, and I've had to pay for babysitters. But Alfie would be coming with me on that trip, and I've taken him all around the world with me in my business. And I always thought, you know, I know why I'm doing this. So with the training, having to find sort of babysitters to help out with Alfie's care, I knew what running the marathon would mean to me and to him, because now Alfie's 14 and he's in a running club, and I joke with him, but I'm actually serious, that he has to run a marathon on his 18th birthday. That's the rules of the house. Because up here, can't really see it, but Mike's daughter, my stepdaughter, she ran her first marathon when she was 18, London Marathon. And so Alfie knows I'm joking, but he knows also I'm serious.
Yeah.
So that's probably the hardest thing, is just making those sacrifices of things that weigh heavy on your heart.
Yeah, no, totally understand that as well. You know, being a single mum myself, and like I said, it's trying to juggle everything, knowing that you're doing it for the bigger picture, but then having those struggles along the way as well. So definitely you need a support crew around you that help and understand what it is that you're working to as well. Amazing. Yeah. Was there any time that you thought of quitting or giving up?
Yeah, there's been times, not in terms of giving up marathon running, but there's been times on long runs. Recently, Mike has had a calf injury, so he hasn't been able to do some training runs with me. And quite honestly, one of the reasons why I don't love running, I love the way it makes me feel. Yeah. One of the reasons why I love running is that it's time that Mike and I get to spend with each other. We put the worlds to right. We run at a very comfortable pace. And it's so good for your mental health, more, as you know, more than anything. And because Mike hasn't been with me, I've had to run for 3.5 hours on my own, and it was torturous. Yeah. 2 weekends ago, he came and met me at Gloucester Road tube station, and I'm sitting on the wall next to a homeless person, absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I'm listening to My Way, crying my eyes out. And he's like, okay, should we go and get a coffee from Starbucks? That'd be a nice treat. And I actually thought, I said, I can't do this. It's been horrendous running on my own today. And so I'm not going to do it. So we'll have a chat after we've had a coffee and a cake. So yeah, there has been times that we've that I've thought about giving up, and Mike as well, because he's had a few injuries in the last few years, and he sort of thought, because he's 52, is it my time now to hang up the trainers? But like you, when you're someone who is a doer rather than a sayer, you will do anything to achieve your goal, even in the darkest moments of you thinking that was really bad, I don't know how I'm going to recover from that. If you've set a goal that really means something to you, you will achieve it.
Definitely, absolutely. So has there been a highlight, do you think, at all your marathons that you've done? Has there been a favourite?
Yeah, there has, and it's for a very, very special reason. The year I ran for brain research was the year that my dad was in a hospice. He'd been diagnosed with a brain tumour. He was only young, he was 67. He'd retired from work. 3 weeks later, his life was given 4 months to live, and a massive shock. I was like a warrior for my dad. I cared for him. We were living in Birmingham at the time. I spent many, many hours on the road, just being with him every appointment, trying to prolong his life. So he is incredibly important to me, and I love him dearly. But I agreed to run the marathon for brain research, and a couple of weeks before the marathon, Dad was put into hospice in Harlow, and I can remember sleeping on the floor next to him the night before I ran, and I woke up in the morning, and I told him I was going to be running the London Marathon, and it was all fine. And then when I came back, I put my medal in his hands, and he didn't know who I was, and sadly we said goodbye 10 days later. But that was the most special marathon I ever run, because I stood on the start line that day, and in all honesty, the training wasn't 100%. But I stood on that start line and thought, I have a choice today. I've got a choice to have a really good run, do the best I can, or I can say I'll run, walk, or I'll be much slower than it normally is because my dad's terminally ill. Well, my dad had no choices left in his life. They were all taken away. And so I thought, well, you know what? You've still got choices, Amanda. So it was one of my quickest, only by a few minutes, but for marathon runners, that means a lot. It was my best run. And I remember ringing my colleague in the business when I finished on the finish line. I said, I've just run it my fastest time ever. And that's the power of the mind. And it will always be the most special marathon I've ever run, knowing that, I run to raise money for people that are in my dad's position, and that he was around at that time. Whether he sort of knew everything that was going on at that time or not, I knew I was with him.
Yeah. Oh, that's an incredible story, and wow, so heartfelt as well. And it's like you said, you had that choice, so you chose to switch your mindset on and got your mindset ready to be empowered and positive, rather than having like the excuses or the negative. You're like, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out. I'm going to do the best of it. And you absolutely did that. So, tough situation, but congratulations. Well done. Do you have any other like mindset tips or hacks or anything that you use to get yourself through, which aren't as extreme and that situation?
Yeah,
without trying to make light of it.
I set little goals, really. So when you're on a long training run, if it, you start sort of 12 miles and you set benchmarks, I think I know I can do 6 miles today, because 6 miles is my normal route. So when I get to 6 miles, I'm going to have a nice drink of water and a performance gel, and I like the taste of that one, so I'm looking forward to that. So you set yourself just little benchmarks, really. In 6 miles time, I know that there's a loo I can stop at. I'm going to go to the loo, so that's something to look forward to. Some people listen to podcasts, music, and I know that can really help. Obviously, you just got to be careful with running near or on roads and things like that. On the day itself, on the event, I think it's crazy when I see people with earphones in, because you're missing them.
The crowd,
the crowd, and there's people that have got nothing, and they're handing you a tray full of sweets, and yet these kids haven't had sweets for a very long time. They've got holes in their shoes and they look very poor, and so they're giving you everything they have. And then you've got people in Canary Wharf that have had a few bevies, and they're committing to you that they're going to be running next year's marathon. So just set yourself little benchmarks, I guess, because we know the route quite well now on London. That's a real advantage. And I'd say to first time marathon runners, if you can drive around the route wherever your marathon is and just maybe get some benchmarks, it helps you get through the signposts on the day.
Okay, great. That's really good advice. And in terms of from a nutritional perspective, say that you're having the run, that the race on a Sunday, how do you then prepare in terms of eating and, carb loading and things like that, in those days leading up to the event?
Yeah, it's we've tried a few different things, and in the early days we used to massively carbo load, and I don't actually think it helped us a lot. So you need to take your own sort of journey on that. Now we do just tend to eat a fairly sensible meal the night before, never anything different. That's crazy, because I see people at the Marathon Expo and they're trying all the different free foods that are being given to you, and literally they're going to be running the marathon the next day.
Yeah.
Or they're trying to run. There's a running track at the expo which gives you an idea of how fast the elite runners run, and they're all on it sprinting. You're mad.
Yeah.
So just eat really clean: pasta, rice, chicken, or we're vegetarians now, so protein substitute, and plenty of good vegetables in there. Eat till you're really full is what I say in that meal, and obviously get your 8 hours sleep and things like that as well. So first thing in the morning, always banana. Banana's like the fast food god of the world. And
for runners, yeah.
Yeah, bananas. We go through about 40 a week in our house, no joke, because the 4 of us all have bananas, at least one-ish a day. So a lot of bananas going on around here. But yeah, that's our staple kind of diet before we run in the mornings. And for me, porridge as well is obviously the slow release carbohydrates. I'm a big fan of things like that as well.
And then what about in terms of hydration or like caffeine or things like that? How would you fuel yourself?
Yeah, so no caffeine. We have caffeine-free drinks in the house. So no caffeine before we leave. And then on the run, obviously water. But I take a couple of supplements. One has got a natural form of caffeine in, which just keeps you going, rather than giving you the spikes that some of the gels can give you. This just gives you a natural lift. And then I take another supplement which just allows a better blood flow, which means you perform slightly better, but also recover quicker, which means you can get back out there training again quicker. But, like I've already said, supplements are wonderful, but they are to supplement. They're not, and instead of, you have to eat well and sleep and hydrate, things like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with all that sentiment as well. And in terms of recovery, so you finish your race, you've done all that. Then what does the next 24 hours look like?
We don't look great.
You're a bit sweaty, need a shower.
Definitely need a shower. So no, being serious, obviously first thing we do is get a recovery protein shake in there in that window of the first hour. So we'll carry that with us in our belts as well, and mix that with water. It doesn't taste great, but we know we need to get the protein recovery in there to start repairing the muscles. Then, of course, the big thing at the moment is the guns that you can use. I can't remember what they're called.
The massage gun things. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, they're fantastic. As soon as we get home, we've got the guns going all over our legs. It hurts, but we know the more we can break down all of the lactic acid that's in there, the quicker the recovery. And then just a really good shower. If you're a member of a gym, and it's a real luxury for us and we love it, but we go down to David Lloyd and we'll have a jacuzzi, sauna, all that. Just take it all. Just take anything. Just take it. And that really helps. But if you haven't, I would say at the very minimum, you need to get a foam roller at home so you can start rolling out your legs after you've trained, and also before you train as well, to just get the blood flowing really well. That's a minimum. You can buy them for like 20 quid.
Okay, amazing. But you're going to have some more in terms of food. That's what I was also wanting to know. Like, how do you eat afterwards? And obviously you have a post-workout shake or exercise run shake, and then how do you refuel after that?
I tried back in the day when we first started running. I tried, you kind of go a bit crazy. You think, right, I've done this amazing long run, and my watch says I've burned 2,000 calories, so I'm going to have a massive McDonald's. It's okay because it's kind of free because I've already burnt off the calories. But we don't tend to anymore. We just tend to come home. We do like, our kind of go-to is a bag of ready salted. It sounds like we're really boring. A bag of Walker's ready salted crisps, because of all the salt that comes. We lose a lot of salt when we run. They replenish all your salt levels. You start to feel better straight away. And then as soon as we get back home, so it probably takes us about an hour and a half by the time we travel back from London, we're going to just have a really decent meal, which is probably the same as the meal we had before the run itself. Yeah. So rice, chicken or protein substitute, lovely vegetables, and then just feet up for a couple of hours.
Sit and relax, and why not? You have earned it. Oh, amazing. So just wanted to, is there any other tips or mindset hacks or any other inspirational words that you'd like to share at all?
Yeah,
anyone who's looking to get into marathon running or just running itself.
Obviously now the world's opening up again and it's so exciting. I didn't go in for any virtual events last year, it just didn't float my boat at all. I'm someone who likes big events, but if you're serious about wanting to run a marathon or a half marathon, is a great starting point, is first of all to book the event, because when you've got that stake in the ground, you're committed to it, and then you can work back and get a training plan in place. Realistically, if you're going to run a marathon, you need 24 weeks of training to get yourself prepared.
Ideally.
The stats are something like 70% of people that stand on start lines have either not trained past 16 miles, which is horrendous, or have an injury. And I've seen it on the London Marathon support group this year. It's going to be a very weird London Marathon this year because there's two camps more than ever of people that just haven't prepared and people that are really prepared and going to have a great race. You know, some people haven't run past 16 miles and they think, oh, it's only another 10. My God, not on the day. It will feel like hell. So my tips are to book an event, then you're committed to it. There was so much information online. For everyone who's on here this evening, they can speak to you, of course. And if you need any more tips from me, I can write out a training plan for people as well, and be that support board. That's absolutely no problem. Mike does it all the time. But yeah, it's really just making sure you've got something you commit to. When you do, everything else falls into place. You know you need to get your training sorted out. You know you need a training plan. Your nutrition needs to be sorted out. And then your head will follow suit as well. And when you have your down days, you're always reminded of why you're doing it, particularly if you're running for a charity. You can't let the charity down.
Yeah,
particularly at the moment.
So it's making that commitment, isn't it? It's more difficult to say no to something else when you've already committed and got that accountability. And even if you don't want to do it for charity, just telling people around you, and then they can hold you accountable to it as well. Yeah,
100%. And there's park runs all over the show. So if you want to get a measure of where you're at in terms of physical and mental health, is turn up to your local park run and see how you perform over that 5K distance. And it will give you a good starting point as to whether you've got what it takes to, whether you've got a competitiveness in you. Because I was speaking to a guy the other day and he wanted to get some nutrition supplements from me, and I could tell he was fit straight away. But I prescribed him supplements based on my running times. And as we started talking, it became really clear this guy is an elite runner, and he's doing half marathons in 1 hour 30.
Wow.
Yes, so he's going to be a sub 3:15, because normally whatever your half marathon time is, double it and add 20 minutes as your marathon time. So he's probably going to be a 3:15, but I'm like a 4:15. So I had to adjust all the supplements. So you never know who you're speaking to, but yeah, that's what I would advise.
Okay, amazing. And Debbie, I just wanted to welcome you onto the call. Thank you so much for joining in this evening. Did you want to, I can unmute you, and if you want to have the opportunity to, hold on, I need to ask you, if you can unmute yourself. If you want to ask Amanda anything, by all means, go ahead. It's great to have you here with us live. There you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you. No, it was very interesting, actually, Amanda, listening about the park run, because I've been thinking about going to my local. So I'm going to do it now. You've encouraged me to do that, because I don't look at myself as a runner. So it's really interesting to hear you going through your journey, what it takes. And yeah, it's a great mental resilience and discipline, isn't it? It's fantastic. Really, really enjoyed listening to it. Thank you. I haven't got any questions, I don't think.
Okay, well, thank you. Whereabouts are you based, Debbie?
I'm in Enfield.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah. Yourself, where are you?
Oh, I'm in Chelmsford. It's not too far away, just out in Essex as well. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a park run in Grovelands, just up the road. So it's a beautiful park, has a lake as well. I know
Oh,
it's very
nice.
busy. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I actually downloaded the barcodes a long time ago, and I never used them. So I'm going to use them now.
Woohoo! We've inspired you to get running, or you might even inspire me to do a marathon
I
run.
might have to start with the walk, actually.
Oh, amazing. Well, thank you for getting on and joining in with us this evening. Amanda, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, just come out and support. The world's opened up. So if you're around on the 3rd of October, come up to London and just feel, that's massive inspiration. Feel what it's like to be part of an event, because the whole crowd is part of the event. You make a massive difference to all of the runners. And some people there are not, many people are not natural runners, will never run another marathon in their life, but that day will be the biggest day of their life. So your support is so welcomed. So if you're thinking, I'd love to run a marathon, just come up and support the London Marathon this year. We'll reach out to you, and I'm happy to answer and help anyone as well. Love to see you running a marathon as well, Claire. That would be fantastic.
Do you know what?
Put it on your board.
I know the furthest I've ever run is a half marathon, and I was one of those people that didn't properly train for it. I only ran, because it was when I was in Australia, obviously 21k. So I'd run 15k at the most, and I thought, do you know what? It's only another half an hour's worth of running. I did that whole thing. Yeah. And I remember finishing the half marathon thinking, God, I wouldn't want to do that again, as in double the distance. And we all know I love my weight training. So it would be a real challenge for me to do, but you never know, one day I'll get up and run a marathon just to tick that box and say, yes, now I understand, and I'll never do it again. Or I might love it. Oh, thank you so much. So
yeah, that's true.
Yes. Yeah, so this video is going to be put into the Naked Warrior Tribe. You might be watching it in the tribe or on my YouTube channel. If you want to reach out directly to Amanda, feel free to comment in the where you're watching this video, comment below, and I can put you in contact with Amanda if you've got any questions about running. Yeah, and it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you so much, Claire. Thanks for asking me on.
That's okay. It's great, and good luck with the marathon. I'm sure you'll smash it.